Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. It's time for another review that's not a review video. This time we're going to talk all things why am I so single. So if you want to know my thoughts, my feelings and everything in between on this show, stick around and we'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. So hello, welcome back, welcome to the Open Roads and Theatre Seats channel. If you've never been here before, I never do this because it just feels awkward. But before we get into the thoughts and feelings, let's just catch up on everything. I like to do this at the beginning of every review, but let's try and speed through it really fast but not mess it all up. So for each show that I see, I like to do 2 separate videos. Number 1, the Nervous Guide video. That was the last video on this channel. The Nervous Guide is when we talk things, content, sensory warnings, also my experience in the show, my view from my seat, any issues that I've found being at the theatre or being near the theatre, etc, etc. Number 2, we do this one. This is the review. The reason I put it in inverted commas is because I am in no way professional. I just enjoy watching theatre. I love to chat about it. I don't have that many people around me to chat with, so I sit in front of a camera after seeing a show, spout off my thoughts and feelings in some kind of way that is almost, you know, it almost makes sense, and I let you know whether it's worth a watch or maybe not. I tried to make it snappy. It went a bit wrong in the middle. But today we're going to talk about why am I so single, a question I've been asking for quite many years. This show had me intrigued. Why, you ask? Well, if you don't know, Why Am I So Single is from the brainchild of Toby Marlowe and Lucy Moss. If those names ring a bell musically in your head, it's because they are behind the likes of Six and also the, bear with whilst I just get this correctly, Hot Gay Time Machine. Thank you. The creative team also features a vocal arrangement and, orchestrations, vocal arrangement and music supervisions by Joe Bayton, and also sound design by Paul Gatehouse, who both worked with Toby and Lucy on Six. So you've got that nice little family feeling moment in relation to creativity. So when you have all those names in your head, it of course makes you intrigued and interested in seeing this show instead. The music in this show is a variety of genres, from pop to disco to what I would class as 90s like rock. The kind of rock that wasn't particularly like too heavy, but it was a bit, yeah, that kind of rock. I don't know if 90s is the best way to describe that, but it had many different strings to its bow. If you didn't like one song, the next song that came in would be something absolutely completely different, which is always fun. And all of this music has choreography done by Ellen Kane, and again that was absolutely phenomenal to watch. There is a variety also of choreographical styles. Is that even a phrase? It is now. There is tap in there. There is more contemporary dance. I'm going to dig myself out the hole of trying to list versions of dance because I'm not that knowledgeable, and move on. This show is about 2 friends and their desire for love, friendship, and how they deal with things like grief, life, self, friendship between both each other and others, and also loneliness. It almost feels slightly autobiographical of the two writers, Lucy and Toby. They have many times in interviews, and in fact in the programme as well, tried to say that that is not the case to a point. In fact, the programme, I believe I read that they said it's not just their experiences but their friends' experiences as well. So it's kind of on first-hand knowledge, but written in such a way that it's not specifically about them. This show also has a multitude of nods to other musicals, but specifically one, that being the show Oliver! We all know it, we all kind of love it. The nods to that musical include the names of the two leads, the two friends, as well as sneaking in references to song titles, including a really dodgy one about picking a pocket or two. I don't know how that one snuck in, because at times I was just literally like, please, no, that's enough. They even managed to call the name of the cafe that was used in, I believe, one scene. If you looked at the back of the set where it had like the window to the cafe, it was called Olive a Twist. There was a lot of puns like that, some which were amusing, some kind of fell flat. And some of them kind of felt not forced but a bit too much. Like I said, there was a couple of times it's like we didn't need that one. That one was, you could have left that one out. Before we move on to the cast, I did also want to mention the set, which has been designed by Moitran, and also the costume, which was done by Max John, because the costume at times was a little bit insane. The start of this show includes two people who are dressed like the two friends, but instead of a face they had like a paper mask face. I'm not explaining it, but I doubt that they've got a picture in the programme, have they? They don't. And then once the actual actors were in the flat starting the show, they had a variety of ensemble members being different things in the flat, which were very ingenious but also a little bit odd at times. For example, there is someone dressed as a plant. There is someone who is literally the wall, complete with a plug socket and a light switch. There was also someone who was essentially a light, complete with light shade which lit up. There was someone who was the fridge. There was someone that was a coat stand. There, if you could think of something in the house, there was someone being that. Even the curtains were people. I loved it. It was whimsical but also very cleverly done, and props to costume design because it was just very impressive. Moving on to the cast. Now, I have mentioned that the two leads are two friends who have names from the musical Oliver! Those two names are Oliver and Nancy. I almost didn't mind those names. The next name I'm going to discuss, I had some, you know. In my performance, the roles of Oliver and Nancy were played respectively by Jordan Cambridge Taylor and Lisa Tully. Jordan is the alternate Oliver, but was literally phenomenal. Both Lisa and Jordan had their time to shine, but they also worked really well together, and I loved watching both. Jordan has a brilliant, although very emotionally filled, actually both of them are emotional but for different reasons. The role of Oliver has the song Disco Ball in Act 2, which feels like happy at the beginning, and by the end it is something different. It takes you on a journey to that song, and Jordan performed it absolutely excellently. And Lisa as Nancy has the song of Just In Case, which is also already out to stream in case you ever want to listen to that one. I would, although it's emotional, I kind of want to have Disco Ball out to listen to, because I actually really enjoyed it as a song, and every so often my brain just goes disco ball da da da, and I need to get it out of my system. Both people in that pair were absolutely excellent. The other person who gets a name in the entire show and in the programme is Artie. Artie, who is essentially the Artful Dodger. I feel like they did try and squeeze it in more subtly than I just have, but I feel like it was like his name's Artie, but then the surname was like Full Dodger. It was a bit, on the whole, trying to link it to Oliver but not really trying to link it to Oliver, and trying to make it out that they are just musical theatre fans, you know. Artie is the more normal friend, because the roles of Oliver and Nancy are very much heightened, slightly, I don't want to say problematic, but slightly more kooky friends. Artie is the more stable relationship, insightful advice and helpful knowledge kind of people, and that role is played by Noah Thomas. I do have to say that Noah in that role was one of my highlights of the show. I really enjoyed everything they did, and even before I got into the show, since it came out, I have been listening to See You Never on repeat, and to see that in the flesh was really, really fun and very exciting. The ensemble of this show is absolutely brilliant. They are high energy when they need to be. They are great furniture. I don't know. In my performance, we had 3 swings on. We had Callum Bell, Caitlin Redpath and Owen McHugh, and I thought they were absolutely all amazing. I also enjoyed that they all were allowed to have their own accents, if you will. So for example, Olivia O'Connor comes from Birmingham, and it was really nice to hear a Birmingham accent on a West End stage, because you don't get that as much as you should, in my eyes. Being from the West Midlands myself, it was really nice just to like hear her voice, and I really enjoyed it. So now we have to summarise my thoughts and feelings. We've shared people that I've enjoyed and the incredible ensemble. We've talked about the creativity and the creative team. Let's discuss the show as a whole. So I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun show. It had a good foundation to it. It has that name behind it that everyone in musical theatre kind of knows. The message that the show kind of ends with is an important one, especially if you're in a certain point in your life that you are not where you thought you would be at the time you are. It has great representation throughout the entire cast, but for me, I just There was times that I felt that things could have been cut and certain things didn't necessarily need to happen. For example, in Act 1 there is a whole song about how Ross and Rachel from Friends, the whole reason that people of a certain age, including the two lead characters, have such a warped experience with romance. It's a whole like 90s pop rock ballad with microphones, a lot of people in Ross and Rachel outfits, and the only real callback is that in the second act someone comes through a door and says, "I got off the plane." My other moment that I literally was like, what? Because that was a slightly mild one, the whole Ross and Rachel thing, is the end of Act 1, which is the interlude in B minor. Right, this whole song comes about because there is a bee in the apartment. Yeah, and because of that little thing, a whole musical song including a person in a bee costume, flashing lights, chaos in a moment, all comes because of a bee being in the apartment, and that, with the addition of a doorbell, is how Act 1 ends. And I was literally like, the first 30 seconds after the lights went out at the end of Act 1, I was literally like, what happened then? I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed this show. It's fun. Some of the music in it is really, really great. The ones that have already been released are still going to be on probably my Spotify Unleashed for the year. Is it Unleashed? Unwrapped. Because I have been listening to them a lot, but there are also songs I was just less into on first listen. It's very much a show that I'm glad that I saw it, but it's not one I would rush back to. Half the reason that I did go and see it is because it recently announced its closure date. It's closing on the 19th of January 2025, which sounds so far away, but it truly isn't. So I'm glad I went to see it, but yeah, I have my reservations, and I've been thinking about this show since I saw it, and this has very much been a difficult one to me to try and verbalize all my thoughts and feelings, because they're still spouting up there like 4 days after seeing this show. But yeah, I'm going to leave this video here because otherwise we could go on for a long time, and don't think any of it would make sense. Has any of it made sense so far? I do not know. But enough of that, enough of me. I'm going to silence myself and go and put my food on for the evening because I am hungry. So all that's left to say is, have you seen this show? What did you think? Am I completely missing the point? Let me know, but in a polite way if you wish. But yes, I'm going to leave you be. This was Why Am I So Single? The review. And all that's left to say is the usual, and that is so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.